I don't know if it's my favorite, and I'll tell you why. It depends on the learner. I always think you got to put the learner first. Hello, Jim here. Hope all of you are doing well. This time of year, many people try something new, especially piano. In this book here, I'm not going to be doing a review, but I'm going to share my insights. But I'm also going to build a playlist, and I'm going to build lessons off of this book and the other books. But this one I want to get into because if you're brand new to piano playing, this is, from my experience working with many students in this book, pretty good. And there's some wonderful benefits. So if you want to, I'm going to create a bunch of videos off of this book and a few other method books. One, because I love this kind of stuff and I love, figuring things out and what works for learners and what doesn't. I thought it'd just be kind of fun. Anyway, so with this book, what's great about it is it's geared for adults, so you're not worried about little kid songs. It's really well known. It's extremely popular. And you've probably seen it before. And when you go online, there's going to be a lot of naysayers and people praising it. I'm going to just go off of my decades of experience. If the learner's motivated and they're improving, then this is a good book for that learner. And remember, if you're getting to the bench and you're playing and you're layering, you're learning and you're getting skills, that is good. Personally, I feel maybe this company has a lot of power with marketing, but this book has probably been, this series has been in many hands. So that's one way of saying it, because when books don't sell, they don't print them and they move on. So sometimes that's kind of worth its weight in gold just to share that a lot of people go to this. You will find reviews, you'll find people on the internet that will hate these series, and hopefully they'll tell you why. My success is that learners get to play and they start learning. So I want to just take a quick look at the beginning of the book today, but feel free to join me because I'm going to play through a bunch of these lessons. And also I'm going to kind of dive through the book a little bit and show you some cool pieces and all that. But don't skip stuff because you'll end up hitting a harder wall in the future. So let's go over here and check out the book. I think everything is working pretty good. By the way, you can buy this book as a not a 3-ring binder, but it can be coiled, and I think they have it also as book level 1 and 2 and 3 if you want to do that. A lot of learners just like buying it separate. And yes, the spine thing, after you break it in, it sits on the music stand fine. So like any book, they talk about what you're going to be learning, they mention about the pieces, and this is a huge publishing company. They talk about all the different stuff that you can get through this company, and it will kind of mainstream on what you're learning. So that's really awesome. And then the good old table of contents, everything is organized. I tried to borrow a student of mine, but I decided to use mine because they have things marked up, which is really good. It's good to have stuff marked up. What's good about this is if you're self-taught, you can check off on what you're doing, and you can also like maybe circle something if you have questions, because there are a few educators I know on YouTube that get into this book significantly. So you could probably get your answers discovered. Also, they probably have somewhere, they might have the accompaniment CDs and all that. I know some books have that. I'm sure they might have it, but I'll let you know if they do. But most of this you can find, I believe, online. So really basic stuff. And this now coming from a teacher perspective, this is awesome. This is something just to look at, but what I have found as you're progressing through the book, go back and review, because we're always strengthening. We're always trying to increase our skill, not just of more notes, but understanding a better way to sit. And they talk about the piano tones and they break everything down, and they do a really cool job here. I think you can see that. Yeah, I'll just zoom that in a little bit maybe. How the keyboard works, and very important here, the right, excellent diagram, the left hand right in there. Yeah, I didn't check to see if you could see everything zoomed in, but it's all good. And then after reading through this, it goes right into the keyboard, which is really good. One, not caveat, but one thing I think would be cool to say is somewhere on this page, maybe, I might embarrass myself. No, they don't say it. I think a cool tip would be do not write in the keys or do not label your keys. because then you just look at that label and the number and you're not learning the language. And that's something that's important. So in this case, they just talk about the basics, the beginner. You're at the right place. You get to play the keys. They see how it's orientated. And then when you go through this, the first few pages is a quick read. And I like to repeat because I'm a teacher. Always make sure you review certain things. It's important. Page 7 is where it's super important. And I have worksheets on this. I'll see if I can pop some up as a PDF, because I find students sometimes need supplements and just finding the notes and just sometimes away from the keyboard. If there are a lot of learners out there that still like paper, which I think is awesome, we don't always need to be on the screen to learn everything. Then down here, this is really cool. They show all the notes, and they did it in a really good way, because some method books will show all the notes and then they'll show all the notes on the staff. That is information overload. And this could get a little tricky, by the way, going up here playing all the A's and B's, but they just want you to get comfortable. They do a great job. Curriculum-wise, it's really clean and simple, and they're trying to move along well enough so you don't get too bored. And I'm going to go to just a few more pages. Probably my second video will be more intense with playing. This one, you can see most of it. We're looking at the right-hand C position. Wonderful diagram. They're going to talk about how you want to have your hands naturally fall on the keyboards. We have to be careful with word choices, because if we say curved, then the learner will curve too much. Then down here, they talk about the notes right away, which I think is huge. I know some educators like to have people look at pictures and all that, but the sooner you get into this, the easier life will be. And here we have the keyboard and how it's outlined. And they're super cool here. They have the note heads written in, and that's only for just a little bit. So you can just memorize. You have a ledger line there, a middle C, and then that D goes up a little bit. And as it goes up, the sound goes up. And then you got an E, F on the space, and a G on the line. I think that's great. Try to get that down. And also, they don't have it in the book, but I've done this with students. Say the notes backwards too, because music's going to go in different directions. That's super important. And then the right hand warm up. Yeah, so we're on page 8 and they already want you to get playing. So I'm just going to go ahead and zoom that out, because I don't know if you can see much of it. The right hand warm up, and I'm actually going to play here. This is really easy, and they're not showing you anything really with rhythm. They're just showing you notes on a staff. These are the finger numbers. So it's super clear, and you want to take your time. And then you can see you have to start over again. What will happen, and I've seen this with learners, they'll get it down, but they'll kind of memorize it, so they're thinking they're doing really well. But if you want to become a music reader, you want to have confidence in your finger position, your hand position. That's super important, because if we glance up and down with simple stuff, we're not moving hand positions, it becomes a habit. And so I'm going to play through that. And then over here, going to page 9, they do a really good job breaking down the rhythms. And then they talk about music terms from measures to bar lines, and everything is within development of the next part of the lesson. Just down here, you're already playing your first song, and it's page 9. So that's really cool. It is maybe a little daring. When we play music, we know you might articulate it differently, because there's a lot of different ways we've heard songs and whatnot, but it's still, this is like a little motivation bump, because teachers, educators, publishers, they know that the motivation is everything, especially with an adult, because you're super busy. So curriculum-wise, I really think this is awesome. And you'll go through the internet and people say they do too much C hand position. Might be true, but you're improving. And that's super important. And then the same thing is left hand. And I'm going to stop at page 10, because I'm going to build lessons off of this, so you can play with me if you choose. And let me know, because communication is a good thing, especially on the internet, so I know I'm not just talking to a microphone. So page 10 is just like the previous page, but now it's bass, clef, and left hand. And I'll probably go over this. This is just like a quick overview. My main goal is the curriculum that they devised, I think, is awesome, especially for adults who want to get playing. They cover the music literacy thing right away. You get into that right away, which is super important. And on a side note, before I play, there's a big thing on the internet about have fun and be creative, but don't read notes. And when I talk to other piano players and people who are really way up there, it's like I'm going to go to Italy, but I don't want to learn Italian. I'm just going to use Google Translate. I get that learning music can take a while, but there are methods and ways teachers can help you, but don't shortchange yourself. That's important to know. Stay at it. So I'm going to go to page 9 and just demonstrate. I think it's page 9. Actually, no. The curriculum, what they did is page 8 is just like page 9 learning-wise, but it's another hand. And what they did is they put in page 9 some other new goals and a song, which is really cool. And this is a lot of information. If you just picked up this book and you haven't learned anything, this is a lot of information. And trust me, always believe in reviews. So I'm at page 8 where it says right hand warm up. And they have a symbol that indicates the track number and selection on the CD. So if you can get that. Then they say general MIDI disc. That's interesting. I don't know if you can still get that. So what I'm going to do is just demonstrate it playing slowly. Well, that's Jim slow, but you can definitely go slower. That first part, that first line, some learners might be like, oh, okay. So get used to just putting your hands here. It's a hand position thing, just like learning another instrument. You want hand shapes on guitar, or if you're playing clarinet, you need to have the fingers a certain way, whatever instrument. In this case, we need to have confidence where our hand position is. So my supplement that's helped me and helped students is just play that and not look at your hands, okay? And get comfortable with that, because that will really help out. The second line, where it starts on a G, they have the 5th finger. Simple. Now you're just what we call in music descending, and then they add in both, which is great. They go C, D, sorry. And now G twice. And some learners will dive into it. They might play it like this, which is totally fine because you are brand new. And every finger is working, every line, there's a sound, and playing like this is great. If you feel like you're able to do it and you're confident with your C hand position, you're definitely ready to go to the next line. And you don't have to talk so much. So the same thing now when we go to page 10. And another thing, what I've done with students, sometimes we move on, but then we'll visit page 10. Why? Not many people like bass clef, and not many people like the left hand. So if that's the case, you can use this as a warm-up if you like. Speaking of warm-up, I don't know if it's in this book. The main one where I have some students work out of the book 1, 2, and 3, it encompasses both. They talk about adult hands and warming up, and they show exercises. I might skip over it because I'm holiday rush stuff going on. Yeah, they didn't have it in this one unless if it's another edition, but it's really cool. So they might have, this is, I don't know, they do editions. They talk about warming up the hands and different exercises, and even talk about some learners might need to put their hands in warm water. I know I should start doing that. Then you want that blood flow. That is a really win-win. So I'm gonna play this, and then I'm gonna kind of mention what I said earlier about my overall feeling for this book, and then share something that I think is pretty exciting with this book. All right, so here I go. Left hand warm up, and you wanna look at the diagram so you know where you're at. All right, and then we're gonna start with that thumb, then we're just gonna go down. And when you're practicing this, it might only be 15 minutes or even less. Learning through proper channels, getting the skills built. And then that second line where it starts with the C. And they're going to do the same thing. We're going to go down, descending. This is the last line. And D, C. Sometimes when I'm recording, I don't like to play so slow because I know it could be boring, but I have to go into teacher mode. It's like, well, if you do the right thing as a teacher, you got to demonstrate, right? I really like this book. Is it my favorite? It's up there. I don't know if it's my favorite, and I'll tell you why. It depends on the learner. I always think you got to put the learner first. You do. Now, what I wanted to get really excited about with this book is what I really like is there's a lot of good music in here. They give you all the basics. It's streamlined. They get some theory in here. It can get tricky. There's some fancy rhythms going on, but even later on, like the past quarter, there's some good music in here. I saw, Green Sleeves. There was another one. Yeah, there's good Scarborough Fair. What was it? The Entertainer. Yeah, I think The Entertainer's in here. There it is. So I think that's really cool, and it's made. It gives you a little prep on what you do, which is so super important. So the book is $15 US. That's not bad, and you could do a lot of self-learning with this. The question is, are you going to be patient to take the time to get through that? Because this is pretty thick. All right, so let me know. I'm excited to get into this, and I hope everyone's well, and keep playing. Bye for now.